The bridge between imagination and the physical world. How ideas become reality and reality shapes ideas. By David Russo. Chapter 1. The Invisible Architect. What imagination really is. Imagination is often dismissed as mere fantasy, a way to escape reality. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Imagination is the very engine of creation. Every building, tool, system, and work of art in the world started as a pattern in someone's mind long before it appeared in the physical world. Imagination is not the opposite of reality. It is the seed from which reality grows. Think about a bridge spanning a river. Before the steel beams were forged, before engineers drew blueprints, that bridge existed first as a vision in someone's mind, a concept of possibility, a mental map of structure and function. Or consider a book. Before the words touched paper, the story existed as a faint vibration in the imagination, a pattern waiting to be expressed. In every case, imagination acts as the invisible architect, designing the world before it is built. Neuroscience gives us fascinating insight into how this works. Imagination is not a single process, but a complex network of brain functions, blending memory, prediction, simulation, and sensory experience. When we imagine, we are combining what we know with what we've never seen. We are able to simulate the future, to prototype possibilities, and to experiment in ways that the physical world would not allow. Essentially, the brain creates a virtual laboratory, a place where ideas can grow, collide, and evolve without consequence. This creative process is not reserved for artists or inventors. Everyone imagines. When a child stacks blocks, she imagines the tower's height and stability. When a teenager dreams of a future career, they mentally walk through choices and outcomes. When a scientist envisions an experiment, they simulate every step in their mind before touching a single tool. Imagination is universal, even if some minds wield it with extraordinary precision. But imagination is not just about thinking what if. It is the bridge between possibility and reality. It allows humans to navigate uncertainty and to create order from the chaos of the unknown. Without imagination, humans would be trapped in survival mode, reacting only to immediate circumstances. With imagination, we plan, design, innovate, and transform the world. The key to understanding imagination is to recognize it as both powerful and precise. It is not whimsical, it is intentional. Each idea, no matter how fleeting, carries the potential to become tangible if nurtured and acted upon. Imagination is the invisible hand shaping the future, the silent architect drawing the blueprints of what is yet to come. In the chapters ahead, we will explore how imagination interacts with belief, emotion, attention, and action. We will see how our inner worlds collide with the physical world, shaping it in ways both subtle and profound. And most importantly, we will learn that imagination is not just something we possess. It is the tool through which we can consciously craft reality itself. Chapter 2. The Mind-Matter Loop. Many people assume imagination flows in only one direction, from mind to world. We imagine, we act, and the world changes. But reality is more like a conversation than a one-way street. The physical world shapes our imagination just as much as our imagination shapes the world. This is what I call the mind-matter loop, a continuous feedback cycle where thought and environment interact, influence, and transform each other. Consider a child growing up surrounded by books. That child's imagination is likely rich in narrative, filled with characters, plots, and possibilities. Now consider a child raised in a home dominated by screens or silence. Their imagination may develop differently, relying more on sensory experience or abstract reasoning. Our environments, the objects we see, the people we interact with, the tools we use, sculpt our inner worlds. Culture plays a role too. Language, art, architecture, and societal norms shape the way we think and imagine. For example, a person living in a city of straight, grid-like streets may imagine structure and order differently than someone raised among winding paths and open landscapes. Even the tools we use, the pens, computers, or instruments at our disposal, become extensions of our mind, influencing how we conceptualize possibilities. But this loop works in reverse as well. Our imagination shapes the world through action. Every invention, artwork, or social movement begins as a thought, a pattern in the mind. Then, through experimentation, iteration, and effort, it takes form in the physical world. And as these creations enter reality, they feed back into the mind, altering perceptions, beliefs, and future possibilities. In other words, creation is never isolated. Every action generates new inputs that modify the next wave of imagination. The mind, matter loop also explains why progress is often nonlinear. Ideas fail, environments resist change, and attempts produce unexpected outcomes. Yet every result, success or failure, provides feedback, nudging imagination in new directions. The loop is subtle, continuous, and incredibly powerful. Understanding it is key to mastering creativity because it reveals that shaping the world is never just about action or thought alone. It's about nurturing the conversation between mind and matter. The loop is everywhere, whether we notice it or not. A painter experiments with brush and color, sees the canvas transform, and adjusts their vision in response. An engineer builds a prototype, observes its flaws, and refines the design. Even in daily life, our choices ripple outward, and the world responds in ways that guide our next decisions. Recognizing the mind, matter loop shifts how we approach creativity in life. Instead of thinking of imagination as a solitary act or the world as a fixed backdrop, we see both as dynamic, intertwined systems. The world is not a stage we enter. It is a partner we shape and are shaped by. Mastery begins when we pay attention to this dialogue, learning to anticipate feedback, adjust our mental models, and act with awareness of the subtle exchange between thought and reality. In the next chapter, we'll explore the role of vision, the first form of creation, and how mental imagery serves as a map for transforming the invisible into the tangible. Understanding the loop is the foundation. Vision is the tool that allows us to navigate it intentionally. Chapter 3. Vision as the first form of creation. Every human achievement begins long before it appears in the physical world. It starts as a vision, an inner conception of something that does not yet exist. Vision is not escapism or wishful thinking. It is the earliest stage of creation. It gives direction, outlines possibility, and guides the steps that turn an idea into something real. Consider how a structure comes to life. An architect does not begin with bricks or steel, but with an internal design, an arrangement of space, purpose, and form held in the mind. A researcher planning an experiment mentally runs through variables and outcomes before touching a lab bench. A storyteller senses a narrative before a single word is written. In every case, vision serves as the unseen framework that supports creation before it takes material shape. Modern neuroscience supports this idea. When we imagine an action or scenario with enough detail, the brain activates many of the same neural circuits used when actually performing or experiencing it. This is why mental practice can strengthen real skills. Visualization becomes a form of preparation, a way to test, refine, and explore without physical risk. Vision, then, is not passive observation, it is active engagement. Not everyone experiences vision in the same way. Some people see sharp images, colors, and motion, while others perceive ideas as patterns, feelings, or abstract structures. Neither approach is superior. What gives vision its power is not the style in which it appears, but the strength of its focus. Clear intention makes vision usable, regardless of how it is internally experienced. Vision also marks the boundary between reacting to life and shaping it. Without vision, we respond only to what is immediately present. With it, we can anticipate, design, and innovate. Humanity's greatest advances, tools, cities, scientific breakthroughs, and technologies were all born from someone envisioning a reality beyond current limits. It is crucial to separate vision from idle fantasy. Fantasy may entertain, but it often lacks purpose or direction. Vision, on the other hand, is anchored by intent. It can be evaluated, adjusted, and transformed into action. It is not mystical, it is practical. Vision functions as a bridge, connecting imagination to execution. Throughout this chapter, we will examine how vision functions across fields such as science, art, engineering, and everyday decision-making. We will explore why mental imagery differs from person to person and how to develop a vision that can be acted upon. Vision is the starting signal, the moment where possibility begins to organize itself into form. To understand vision is to understand creation itself. Without it, imagination drifts without aim. With it, ideas gain structure, direction, and momentum. Vision turns what could be into a path toward what will be. In the next chapter, we will explore belief and expectation, the forces that determine whether vision fades or becomes reality. Chapter 4: Belief, Expectation, and the Physics of Possibility. Imagination and vision give us ideas, but belief and expectation determine whether those ideas ever leave the mind. Belief is the internal scaffolding that supports or collapses our imagined concepts. Without belief, even the clearest vision remains dormant, never transforming into action. Expectation, closely linked, is the mental forecast that fuels persistence, shaping not only what we try, but how we try it. Together, belief and expectation set the boundaries of possibility. Consider history. For centuries, humans believed heavier-than-air flight was impossible. This wasn't because the laws of physics prohibited it, but because collective belief constrained imagination and effort. When the belief shifted, airplanes appeared, and the impossible became ordinary. Belief does not override reality. It channels effort, focus, and creativity into achievable outcomes. It defines what we consider worth attempting. Belief is closely tied to identity, the story we tell ourselves about who we are and what we can do. Someone who sees themselves as a creator, an innovator, or a problem solver will naturally approach challenges differently than someone who believes they are limited or incapable. Identity acts as a filter for possibility. It shapes both the ideas we allow ourselves to imagine and the risks we are willing to take to realize them. Expectation plays a subtle but equally critical role. It is not just hope. It is a forecast that guides persistence and attention. When we expect success, we notice opportunities, recognize patterns, and take actions aligned with our goals. When we expect failure, we unconsciously avoid risks, overlook possibilities, and reinforce limitations. Expectation is like a compass for action. It subtly determines the direction and energy we bring to our efforts. Belief and expectation are not magic, but they operate like the laws of a physics for human potential. They create conditions in which action is possible and sustained. They amplify imagination and focus, aligning internal energy with external effort. Without them, vision and creativity often fizzle before they reach the world. The relationship between belief, expectation, and action is continuous. Vision shapes belief. Imagining a bridge, a novel, or a technology convinces the mind that it is worth pursuing. Belief then channels attention and effort, while expectation guides persistence and adaptability. Action follows, and results feed back into the mind, reinforcing or reshaping belief. This loop, imagination, belief, expectation, action, is the engine that turns possibility into reality. Understanding these forces is empowering. It reveals why some people achieve what others consider impossible, and why some dreams remain unrealized despite talent or effort. Belief and expectation are not fixed. They can be cultivated, refined, and strengthened. By consciously aligning belief, expectation, and identity with vision, we expand the horizon of what is possible. In the next chapter, we will explore emotion, the energy that propels imagination and belief into action. Belief sets the boundary. Emotion provides the fuel to cross it. Together, they turn invisible ideas into tangible reality. Chapter 5: Emotion, the energy that moves ideas. Ideas alone rarely change the world. Vision, belief, and expectation can guide us, but without emotion, imagination often stalls. Emotion is the fuel that propels ideas from thought into action. It is the energy that ignites curiosity, sparks creativity, and sustains effort when obstacles appear. Think about a scientist working late into the night, driven by a burning question, or an artist tirelessly refining a painting, unable to rest until it conveys the exact feeling they imagined. In both cases, emotion, curiosity, excitement, frustration, longing powers the process. It gives ideas momentum, pushing them through the gap between conception and realization. Neuroscience supports this. Emotional states amplify memory, focus, and creative thinking. When we feel passion for an idea, our brains prioritize it, connecting it with relevant knowledge and experiences. Emotion sharpens perception, highlighting opportunities we might otherwise overlook. It also energizes persistence. Without an emotional stake in an outcome, we are more likely to abandon even the most promising vision. Emotion is not always positive. Frustration, fear, or even anger can drive innovation. The inventor who refuses to accept failure, the writer who channels personal struggle into storytelling, the entrepreneur motivated by injustice, all use emotion to energize creation. What matters is harnessing it consciously. Unchecked, emotions can derail imagination. Aligned, they amplify it. Passion also makes ideas sticky. When we care deeply, we communicate more effectively, inspire others, and draw collaborators into our vision. Emotional resonance spreads ideas beyond the individual mind, creating ripple effects in communities, organizations, and cultures. This is why breakthroughs often occur at the intersection of strong feeling and focused effort. Cultivating emotional alignment with a vision is a skill. It begins with awareness, noticing which feelings fuel imagination and which drain it. Practices like reflection, journaling, and mindfulness help maintain clarity and direction. Emotions can then be directed intentionally, rather than reacting passively to circumstance. When desire, curiosity, or wonder aligns with focus and vision, imagination moves with unstoppable force. Emotion is the bridge between the abstract and the concrete. Vision sketches the blueprint, belief provides structure, expectation sets direction, but emotion powers the journey. Without it, ideas remain inert, like seeds without sunlight or water. With it, they grow, adapt, and reach the world. In the next chapter, we will explore focus and attention, the steering mechanism that channels emotional energy and imagination into precise action. Emotion provides the power, but attention directs it. Together, they allow ideas to take form in reality. Chapter 6. Harnessing Focus and Attention. If imagination plants the idea and emotion powers it forward, focus is what keeps it on course. Without direction, even the strongest ideas scatter, losing momentum before they can become real. In a world filled with alerts, feeds, and constant noise, sustained attention has become rare, and yet more essential than ever for turning imagination into results. Focus is limited. Each distraction, each moment of mental drifting, draws from the same pool of energy needed for meaningful creation. When attention is used deliberately, however, it becomes a shaping force. Neuroscience often compares attention to a spotlight. Whatever it shines on becomes clearer and more developed, while everything else recedes. What we consistently attend to strengthens. What we neglect weakens. Creativity and clarity are direct reflections of where attention is placed. Attention goes beyond simply concentrating. It creates alignment. It connects vision with belief and emotion, converting raw mental energy into intentional movement. A pianist repeating exercises is refining attention to build mastery. A researcher examining results is directing attention to deepen insight. Even an author facing an empty page is practicing attention by gently steering the mind toward meaning. Focus works like a channel, narrowing scattered thoughts into purposeful effort. There are concrete ways to strengthen attention. Deep work, long, uninterrupted engagement with demanding tasks, allows imagination to reach its highest level. Reducing sensory input by silencing notifications, simplifying surroundings, and managing noise helps protect mental space. Time blocking specific hours for specific tasks builds structure and reduces mental wandering. Although multitasking can feel efficient, studies repeatedly show that frequent task switching weakens creativity and lowers overall performance. What we attend to also reshapes how we perceive the world. Focused awareness reveals patterns that distraction conceals. It sharpens judgment, uncovers opportunities, and prepares the mind for obstacles before they arise. Attention functions both as a magnifying glass and a gatekeeper, refining imagination and guiding it toward meaningful action. Developing attention is less about sheer willpower and more about thoughtful design, habits, environments, and systems that make focus easier to sustain. When these conditions are in place, the mind naturally enters flow, where emotion, belief, and vision merge into effective action. With attention properly directed, imagination stops drifting and begins creating with accuracy and intention. The next chapter will examine how ideas move from thought into action. Once imagination is energized by emotion and belief and steered by focus, execution becomes the final step, transforming what exists only in the mind into something tangible and real. Chapter 7. From Concept to Craft, Turning Thought into Action. Ideas alone never change the world. Vision, belief, emotion, and focus set the stage, but action is what completes the journey from imagination to reality. Execution is where thought meets matter. It is the bridge that transforms the invisible into the tangible. Without action, even the clearest vision remains a dream, a spark that never ignites. Execution begins the moment thought becomes movement. It requires courage to attempt the unknown, discipline to continue through setbacks, and tolerance for failure as a guide rather than a defeat. Every creator, inventor, and innovator, from the first engineer building a bridge to the artist painting a canvas, understands this truth. The first step, no matter how small, is the most important. Prototyping is a critical part of turning ideas into action. A prototype does not have to be perfect, it simply has to exist. It is a rough form that allows experimentation, observation, and refinement. Early iterations reveal what works, what fails, and what needs adjustment. Through repetition and practice, skill grows, ideas evolve, and the path toward completion becomes clearer. Failure, in this context, is feedback, an essential teacher in the creative process. Action also feeds imagination. Each step in the physical world generates new insight, new possibilities, and new directions. The first stroke of paint suggests the next. The first paragraph written inspires the following chapter. The first prototype built informs the next design. In other words, creation is iterative. Thought guides action, and action, in turn, reshapes thought. Turning concept into craft also requires alignment. Vision, belief, emotion, and focus must converge. Without belief, action falters. Without emotion, effort lacks energy. Without attention, movement lacks precision. When these elements combine, execution becomes not just possible, but powerful. Courage plays a special role in this process. It is easy to imagine possibilities in the safety of the mind, but stepping into the real world exposes ideas to uncertainty, criticism, and risk. Courage does not eliminate risk, it allows action despite it. Every creation, whether a groundbreaking technology, a business, a work of art, or a personal project, depends on this willingness to act, to lay the first stone, to take the first step. Finally, execution is not only about completing a single task, it is about establishing a rhythm of creation. Habitual action transforms imagination into a living practice, making the act of bringing ideas to life a natural, consistent part of how we navigate the world. In the next chapter, we will explore collective imagination, the shared visions that shape societies, cultures, and the social systems we inhabit. If individual action turns thought into reality, collective action amplifies its scale, shaping entire worlds. Chapter 8. Collective Imagination and Social Reality. While individual imagination creates bridges, books, or inventions, the physical world is also shaped by something much larger: collective imagination. Nations, laws, religions, money, brands, and culture are all systems born from shared human thought. These are ideas agreed upon by groups, accepted as real, and reinforced through behavior. In other words, humans live inside shared stories, and those stories become physical structures, institutions, and norms that shape how we act, think, and imagine. Collective imagination is both powerful and subtle. It shapes values, dictates behavior, and organizes society. Consider money. A piece of paper or a digital number has no intrinsic value, yet because enough people collectively believe it has worth, it functions as a medium of exchange. The same is true for legal systems, traditions, and even social etiquette. These shared beliefs organize society, creating reality at a scale no individual could achieve alone. Culture, too, is a product of collective imagination. Architecture, fashion, art, and language reflect the shared mental patterns of a society. They influence the way people think, interact, and envision possibilities. Growing up in a particular cultural context shapes not only our habits, but also the boundaries of our imagination. What we see as possible, acceptable, or desirable. In this way, reality and imagination continuously shape one another. Collective imagination can also perpetuate limitations. Shared myths, assumptions, or outdated norms can restrict creativity and progress. Yet the same force can catalyze transformation. Social movements, revolutions, and innovations begin when a critical mass of people collectively reimagines what is possible, challenging old systems and creating new ones. Think of movements for civil rights, scientific paradigms, or technological shifts. They all started with a shared vision of a different future. This chapter highlights the dual nature of collective imagination. It can stabilize societies, giving order and predictability, but it can also evolve, expand, and redefine reality when humans envision something new together. Understanding this principle allows us to recognize the systems we inhabit, question their assumptions, and contribute to shaping them consciously. The feedback loop between individual and collective imagination is continuous. Individuals create, influence, and innovate. Their ideas, when adopted by groups, gain structure and scale. As these ideas manifest in the social world, they reshape individual thought, creating new possibilities for future creation. Society is not static. It is an ever-evolving reflection of shared human imagination. Recognizing the power of collective imagination empowers us to act with awareness. Every choice, collaboration, or expression contributes to the stories that define reality. By participating consciously, we become architects not only of our personal lives, but of the shared world. In the next chapter, we will explore technology as an externalized form of imagination, tools that capture human creativity, amplify it, and extend it far beyond the limits of individual thought. Technology is where collective imagination solidifies into durable, physical systems that reshape everyday life. Chapter 9. Technology as Externalized Imagination. Every tool, every machine, every technological system is imagination made durable. Technology is the physical crystallization of human thought. It captures ideas, extends our capabilities, and amplifies what we can do in the world. From the first stone tools to the internet and artificial intelligence, technology is humanity's attempt to turn invisible mental patterns into tangible, functioning systems. Think about fire. It began as a natural phenomenon, but when humans learned to control it, fire became a technology, a tool that extended our abilities, reshaped our environment, and transformed the possibilities for survival and culture. The wheel, the plow, writing, and printing presses all followed the same pattern. Someone imagined a better way to do something, tested it, refined it, and then externalized it into a tool that changed the world. Technology is more than convenience. It is a physical extension of human cognition. A computer allows us to store and manipulate vast amounts of information, functioning as an external memory. Machines amplify our physical abilities, from levers and pulleys to cranes and robotic arms. Even software and algorithms act as externalized reasoning, processing logic at speeds impossible for a single human mind. Each technological innovation is a form of thought rendered into matter. The relationship between imagination and technology is cyclical. Tools shape what we can imagine and do. The invention of writing, for example, allowed humans to think in new ways, preserving knowledge and enabling abstract reasoning across generations. Similarly, digital tools expand the scope of creativity, enabling ideas to be modeled, tested, and shared faster than ever before. Technology does not just implement imagination, it transforms it. Artificial intelligence represents the latest stage in this evolution. AI can co-create, simulate, and extend human creativity in ways that were previously unimaginable. It does not replace imagination but functions as an amplifier, expanding the scale and speed of what we can envision and achieve. Yet, as with all technology, It reflects the intentions, limitations, and assumptions of its creators. Tools can empower or constrain, amplify or distort, depending on how they are designed and used. Understanding technology as externalized imagination gives us a new perspective on innovation and responsibility. Each tool we create reshapes reality and expands the horizon of possibility. Yet every tool also carries consequences, intended or unintended, that influence future imagination and action. By recognizing technology as a tangible expression of thought, we gain the power to design consciously, aligning tools with vision, values, and purpose. In the next and final chapter, we will explore how to live as a conscious bridge between imagination and the physical world. Technology, emotion, focus, belief, and vision all converge in human action. By understanding these forces, we can create intentionally, shaping not only our personal lives, but the shared reality we inhabit. Chapter 10. Living as a Bridge, Creating Consciously. Every human is, in essence, a bridge between imagination and the physical world. Every thought, every vision, every action shapes reality in some way. Yet few of us fully recognize the power inherent in this role. To live as a conscious creator is to understand that we are not merely passengers in life. We are architects of it. Conscious creation begins with clarity of imagination. It is not enough to dream vaguely. We must see, feel, and understand the ideas we wish to manifest. Vision provides direction, belief sustains effort, emotion energizes action, and attention focuses the mind. When these elements align, imagination becomes a force capable of transforming the world around us. Motivation and persistence are equally critical. Life presents obstacles, distractions, and setbacks. Without sustained effort, even the most vivid vision remains unrealized. Conscious creators cultivate habits that reinforce focus, resilience, and clarity. They use their attention deliberately, directing energy toward the ideas that matter most. They treat failure not as defeat, but as feedback, refining their approach and adjusting their course without losing momentum. Belief and identity also play a central role. How we see ourselves shapes what we consider possible. By consciously choosing empowering beliefs, by crafting an identity aligned with our vision, we expand the boundaries of our potential. The stories we tell ourselves about who we are, what we can do, and what the world allows determine the trajectory of our imagination and action. Living as a bridge also means understanding the social and technological systems around us. Collective imagination and tools extend our reach, amplifying impact. By contributing thoughtfully to shared visions, by using technology responsibly, and by engaging emotionally and intellectually with the world, we participate in shaping reality on both personal and societal levels. Creativity becomes a daily practice. It is not reserved for special moments or grand projects. It permeates everything we do. Simple choices, repeated consistently, accumulate into tangible change. Every conversation, decision, and action contributes to the architecture of reality. Living consciously means seeing these connections and acting with intentionality, understanding that nothing exists in isolation. Finally, conscious creation is about presence. The world often feels fixed, solid, and unchangeable, but it is in constant flux, continuously shaped by thought and action. By embracing our role as bridges, we step into life with awareness, purpose, and responsibility. We realize that the invisible threads of imagination are constantly weaving the fabric of reality, and that we hold the power to direct them. The journey of conscious creation is ongoing. It is a practice, a discipline, and a mindset. By aligning vision, belief, emotion, attention, and action, we can live not as passive observers, but as active architects of our lives and the world we share. Every moment becomes an opportunity to shape reality, to manifest possibility, and to bridge the gap between what is imagined and what is real.